are the champion, the one that holds the line and finishes the mission. Everything that you want is within your grasp. You wake up in the morning ready to dominate the day, and every step taken is with purpose and integrity. Because you were not put on this planet to live a mediocre existence. You are here to conquer and make the biggest impact possible, not only for yourself, but for your family and for your tribe. This world is a battlefield, and we will be victorious. This is the Norse Mentality.
What's up, guys? I hope that you are having a glorious day. My name is Andy Lewis. With me here is Cody Whitley. And this whole podcast is designed to help you reach your true potential and climb to the highest peaks of success. And on the past few episodes, we've been diving into lessons from the Hávamál. If you're unaware, the Hávamál is a collection of old Norse poems with a bunch of wisdom and life lessons to help you live life to its fullest and not be a shitty person, pretty much. And also know what to prioritize in life. That way we're not wasting time on things that aren't really serving us. And on this episode, we're going to be diving into why you should be cautious when trusting other people. Now, this is important because we are constantly influenced by the external world, things that are around us, either if it's on TV, social media, people that we surround ourselves with, people that we meet, whatever it is. And it's important that we take a step back and ask ourselves, is it worth me investing my time into this person? Is this person someone that I can rely on, or is it someone that might not have my best interest at heart and they're just kind of trying to serve themselves? So let's just go ahead and dive right into it. The first reason that we need to be cautious of who we trust is because it allows us to avoid deception. Like I said, a lot of times, especially nowadays, people are always trying to get something from us, either if it's through advertising, just people in general really looking out for their best interests and not giving a fuck about who they screw over in the process. So not just trusting everyone that comes into our presence allows us to avoid being fucked over.
You know, as much as great as it would be, and as much as we would like to think that people have pure interest in mind when interacting with others or going about their day-to-day lives, that is not the reality of the current world we live in. Whether that, behavior is conscious, that person is conscious of their behavior, or they're unconscious and just kind of flowing through life with, negative impact and creating collateral damage.
It really boils down to their level of consciousness. When you rise up in consciousness, because that's really what consciousness is, it's levels. You're either operating at a lower level, meaning that you only have yourself in mind and you're not aware of how your actions are impacting those around you, or you're operating at a higher level of consciousness where you're very well aware of yourself and what you're bringing to the table and how you're treating other people. So it's not necessarily that I think people purposely go out of their way to screw people over. I mean, yeah, you have shitty people, but they're just not there yet. And we all have work that we can do to become a better person. And with that being said, though, it's not necessary that we need to have grace for other people, because at the end of the day, there are really shitty people out there. And a lot of times people will try to say, well, we need to love everybody and we need to do this and we just need to, think positive and all these different things. It's like, well, the fact of the matter is that child kidnapping is a real thing. People are breaking into cars and houses. People are murdering other people for absolutely no reason. People are stealing money from you for no reason. I mean, they have reasons. They justify it to themselves, whatever the case may be. But the fact of the matter is that there are people out there that want to harm other people. They want to take something from you. And even if it's not on an extreme level, like all the examples I just gave, they still don't give a shit about you. And the fact of the matter is that 98% of people don't. Why should they? If they don't know you on a more personal level, if they don't align with you as far as your morals and values go, why should they give a shit if they screw you over or not? And we see this all the time, especially with businesses. that's something here at Norse that we really try to focus on, is providing value and making sure that if someone puts trust in us and purchases a product from us, or even takes their time to listen to this podcast, that we're going to go up and beyond to make sure that they don't have any regret for deciding to do business with us.
That's the whole purpose of community, especially what we, strive to create here. Like why would we want, community that doesn't have our collective best interest? And, on our end too, we want the best for the people that, want the best for us.
We can also break this down to more than just business and people that we meet on a day-to-day basis, or even for that matter, complete strangers. This also goes down to media, politicians, and those are really the ones that we need to look at. Celebrities, influencers online, shit like this, because everyone has their own agenda. I would like to think that our agenda is to eliminate the world of mediocrity, which is our mission statement, and to genuinely help other people level up in life. But you have the opposite side of that spectrum where they have an agenda, and it doesn't matter what they have to do in order to enforce this agenda, they're going to do it. Doesn't matter how many people have to die. It doesn't matter the well-being of anyone else. And we see this in our own country, and we try to avoid politics as much as possible, but to really drive this case home, because this is something that is becoming more and more relevant with the elections and stuff coming up, is people are so quick to jump on bandwagons, especially when it comes to political parties or even news sources. You have one extreme or the other: Republicans, Democrats, Fox News, CNN. They're all the same. They're all the exact same. They don't give a shit about you. You might have a few outliers that really want the best for people and they want to make an impact, but the unfortunate reality in the world that we live in is that those people will probably never have the opportunity to make the impact that they want because of how many shitty people are out there.
It's a relatively small percentage in the grand scheme of things.
Right. And it's just accepting the reality of this. Is it always going to be this way? I hope not.
Me neither.
But right now and for the foreseeable future, that's how it is. We are still evolving as a species, and there are still a lot of people out there that are operating at a lower level. They only have self-interest in mind, and they're going to do whatever they need to do, including take from you, in order to get what they want out of life. So we need to be cautious of who we trust, because it allows us to avoid deception. Now, another thing about this is being cautious of who we trust allows us to enforce our personal boundaries. Boundaries are one of the most important things that we can have as far as our personal well-being goes. This isn't something that I didn't really even know what it was up until a few years ago, but pretty much what this boils down to is your personal boundaries are what you're willing to put up with and what you aren't willing to put up with. And there needs to be a line in the sand where if you cross this line, I'm not going to fucking deal with it. I'm not going to put up with it. And too many people are scared of being judged or maybe losing someone that they care about. Maybe it is a friend or a partner or a parent or whoever that you have had a relationship for a very long time. But this person continues to take from you and they don't care how it affects your life. They're going to abuse you, either if that's mentally, emotionally, physically, whatever it is. Financially, right? And we need to draw that line in the sand and be like, okay, I'm not going to put up with this. Now, when you're cautious of who you trust, you're less likely to be put in that situation. And sometimes we can be a little more lenient if that person has earned that right. Say if it's with a partner. When it comes to a relationship, it's a give and take. You know, you can give some, you can take some, but you can also be like, okay, usually I would never put up with this, but there's so many other things that you do that are positive. And I'm willing to kind of accept this, but you need to understand that moving forward, this is unacceptable. Like, we're going to have problems. It's up to you to decide how ruthless you want to be with this. I'm pretty damn ruthless with it. Once I've discovered what boundaries are and I've discovered what I stand for, there is a hard line there. It doesn't matter if it's a family member, a friend, or whatever. If you cross that line, you're out. But being cautious of who we trust really mitigates that. It eliminates that issue entirely. Like, I never have to put up with that, either if it is with my friends or employees, relationships outside of work and Norse and stuff like that, because I only surround myself with people that I know that I can trust.
Yeah, I mean, that circle and the people you surround yourself with, if they are truly there for you and, you know, want the best for you and just are on your team, they're not going to do that. They're not going to cross boundaries intentionally. If they do, like, that should be telling, and you should look at trends to when that happens.
Right.
Like you were saying with a relationship and your partner, you know, it's not one of those things where they do so much good and then the one thing they do wrong, you immediately cut them out of your life. What kind of person would you be if, like, this person brings 95% of the time positivity to the table, and then that one time they might overstep a little bit? That's just extreme to be like, yep, you're done.
It's when they do it over and over again. And we all have our flaws, and that's what we need to recognize here. For you to say, okay, these are my boundaries, and I'm not going to put up with this no matter what. That's important. But you also need to be like, you know what? I have flaws as well. I'm going to fuck up. I'm going to treat someone a certain way that they don't necessarily like. And it's up for that individual to tell you, hey, you overstepped. And if you have to let down your ego and be like, you know what I did? I accept responsibility for what I just did, for my actions. And moving forward, I'm going to try to be more cautious of that and avoid it because I care about you. I don't want this relationship to be negative. I don't want it to be full of problems and stuff like that. So I will try to be more conscious of what I do moving forward. That way I don't overstep your boundaries. But it is up to the individual to express what that is. You can't be scared of that. And that goes back to my original statement where I said people are scared to do so. They're scared that if they make their boundaries clear, that the other person might leave. Well, maybe that person shouldn't be around. If that person isn't willing to respect you and what you stand for and how you want to be treated, then why have them around? At the end of the day, why would you waste your time here on earth, your precious time that you can never get back, on someone that doesn't respect you? And it's subjective, of course, when it comes to boundaries, because what my line in the sand is might be different than yours. They're probably very similar. And at the end of the day, most people's are. We just want to be treated right. But it can differ based off where you live in the world, your upbringing, all of these different factors. But we need to sit down and really discover what that is. And boundaries are one of those things where you're not really aware of it until it happens. You can't necessarily sit down with a piece of paper and be like, this is what I'm not going to put up with. Well, the only reason you know you're not going to put up with it is because it has already happened to you in the past. But it's good to make a mental note of that and be, okay, this does not make me feel good. This actually makes me feel weak. This person is not making me feel stronger. And if someone is not bringing strength to the table and they're not providing you with that positive emotion where it's a win-win for both parties, then why should they be around? And it doesn't matter who they are. We need to kind of eliminate their stereotypes here where it's like, well, I've been friends with this person for 20 years. I can't just let him go. You sure as fuck can. You can let him go. If you care about yourself and you care about your well-being, you need to be able to decide, okay, I can trust this person enough to respect me. And I will give them the same amount of respect in return. But it's a two-way street here. And at times we do need to be ruthless with it, especially if we're one of those individuals that just get walked over all the time. And we know people like that. And I probably used to be like that to a certain extent as well before I really discovered what boundaries are.
Well, before you had a lot of confidence in yourself, that was probably a form of, just wanting to be accepted.
I was desperate, right? And I think we all are, especially if you grew up with a lot of self-doubt, self-hatred, if you lacked overall confidence and stuff like that, you definitely just kind of want what you can get. It's like, well, I'll settle for this, until eventually you realize, okay, settling isn't doing it. Settling is not giving me the life that I want. It's not helping me become the person that I want to be. So what needs to change here? And that's the people that you surround yourself with, and making sure that you enforce these boundaries where it's like, okay, I'm going to put up with this, but I will not tolerate this type of behavior. I will not be disrespected like this. Now, before we move on, I just want to bring up again, you have your own flaws. I have mine. You have yours. Everyone does. So we do need to be a little forgiving at times. That is important. But the main thing that I like about the Hávamál when it comes to its teachings, and I would consider the Hávamál spiritual. To me, it is my Bible. It has been for a very long time. I like the Hávamál's teachings, and I identify with them more than other spiritual texts because it's realistic in the world that we live in. A lot of spiritual texts is like, best case scenario, this is what you need to do. Like turn the whole cheek thing in Christianity. Sometimes you can't turn the cheek, right? Because we live in this world. There are shitty individuals out there. There are people that are going to take advantage of you. They're going to deceive you. They're going to try to rob you of everything that you can offer. So remember that you have your own flaws. Be forgiving at times if the person has earned that right to be forgiven. But make sure that you do have strong boundaries. And if someone crosses that line, let them know. If it happens again, let them know again. Third or fourth time, you might want to start reconsidering that relationship with that person. Hey guys, if you're anything like me, you're balls to the wall from the time you wake up until you go to bed. And at some point in the day, you're going to start losing energy and motivation. That's why I always take a scoop of focus around noon. It helps me get dialed back in, and it's pretty much coffee on steroids. If you want to grab a container for yourself, go to norsefitness.co and use the code podcast15 to save 15% on focus today. Now, the next thing is when you're cautious of who you trust, it allows you to avoid unnecessary risk. Life is a constant cycle of risk. And if we want to get ahead in life, we're going to have to take risks. Now, are the risks that we're taking in order to serve us, to get us to where we want to be in life? Or are we wasting our time with unnecessary risk? There's a difference there. This risk that I'm willing to take is going to serve me. Whereas in this one over here, it's not. Whenever you are cautious of who you trust, and you're not willing to just throw trust out there to absolutely everybody, what that does is it eliminates a lot of the bullshit in your life. So we all have to deal with so much difficulties anyways. Some are worse than others, but either way, we're already dealing with enough on a day-to-day basis. If you can eliminate untrustworthy people in your life, a lot of that bullshit that's unnecessary is going to disappear. So that is something that we also need to think about. Is it worth me dealing with all of this shit from someone that is just repeatedly walking over me? Or maybe it's someone that you don't really even know. Maybe it's someone that you work with. Maybe it is someone that you're just an acquaintance with. It's a friend of a friend, right? Are they a constant source of drama? Are they constantly just doing little things to stab you in the back? It's death by 1,000 cuts, right? It's one little thing after another. And it's almost to the point where you're like, it's not impactful enough for you to necessarily realize it in the moment, but they add up over time. And there are a lot of people out there that will do that over and over again. And they're not even aware that they're doing it. Like I said, this is a matter of consciousness here. If you're not aware of your own behaviors and your habits and how you treat other people, they don't even realize that they're being shitty towards you. But either way, you don't need to put up with it.
The cool thing about that is if that person is mutually here for you and in your corner, and you approach them respectfully, hey, this is what you did. I'm not cool with this. Like, you crossed my boundary. If they're truly here for you, they're going to respect that, and they're going to, if they want to continue to be in your life and keep you in theirs, they're going to make changes, which is, cool for me, because it's a way for you as a person to potentially strengthen the relationship with that individual.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So we need to look at our relationships, and we need to realize, okay, is this person bringing a lot of drama to my life? Is this person actually having my best interests at heart, or are they only focused on themselves? And that will eliminate a lot of the bullshit in your life.
Especially if that behavior is unconscious coming from that person. They, like we've mentioned multiple times, they might not even be aware that they're doing it, and it's just kind of going on in the background, and they're not consciously thinking about their actions and how the consequences affect those around them.
And here's the thing with that, though, as well. There's no point in you repeating it over and over and over again, because that person's never going to recognize it for themselves. Say it once, say it twice. If it continues, cut them out. Start distancing yourself from them. And this doesn't have to be a dramatic thing. It doesn't need to be anything that's super over the top. But we do need to just start distancing ourselves from this person. Okay, this person is causing me a lot of bullshit. I'm having to take unnecessary risks on a daily basis because of this person and them making the wrong decisions, which are impacting me. And the whole reason this is happening is because I decided to put trust in this person that really hasn't deserved it yet. And that kind of leads us into the next point, which is when you're not willing to just trust everyone that you meet right off the bat, it helps you develop good judgment. And what I mean by that is you put in the reps each time that you do that. When you start reading people and you start observing and taking a step back and really trying to figure out who this person is before you just give yourself to them, over time, you become better at reading people. You become a better judge of character, and you also begin to learn to trust your intuition. Whenever we have that gut feeling about someone, the majority of the time it's right, but we ignore it. And it's probably because we are desperate. We're desperate for attention. We're desperate for affection, whatever it may be. But either way, we're not being a good judge of character. Now, some people are better at this than others. But I do believe that it's something that gets better with time when you do just kind of observe people and throw feelers out there.
I think that comes secondary to your own personal journey of self-improvement. The more you learn about yourself, the more you go inward, the more you study, the more you read about, what causes these behaviors in other people. If it's subconscious or unconscious behavior, you start to see that it's you pick up on patterns and you start to kind of see people very, very quickly for who they are and their intention.
Right. And I think one of the best things people can do is start studying psychology, start studying the human mind, start studying why humans act the way that they do. Because what you're going to discover is that a lot of this is not within their control.
It's a lot. I would say the majority of the issues that you face are some way, shape, or form rooted in egotistic behavior.
Absolutely. And the thing, though, with all this is, okay, maybe it's not within their control. Maybe they're not purposely trying to screw you over. Maybe they're not trying to bring drama into your life nonstop. Maybe they're not trying to do all these different things that are not serving you, that are impacting you in a negative way. But at the end of the day, you can't change other people. So if you meet someone and they're just not on your level as far as like your morals and values and stuff like that, nothing you can do is going to force that person to change, nor should you. It's not your responsibility to change other people. It's your responsibility to work on yourself. And as you work on yourself, you bring value to those around you, the people that have earned the right to be in your circle. Which leads us to our next point, and this is probably the most important one. And that is when you are cautious of who you trust and you're not just allowing everyone to come into your inner circle, you develop a very strong community around you. I don't have anyone in my life that I don't trust, but I also don't have a lot of people in my life. I know a lot of people. There's a lot of people that know me, but as far as me hanging out with you, as far as me reaching out to check in on you and stuff like that, it's a very small circle. And that's because I only surround myself with people that have went through the screening process.
It comes down to your self-worth and who you allow to have access to your value, your energy, and your time. And when we start looking at things like that, where like this person is draining my energy, this person is wasting my time, you really start to distance yourself from that person. But if someone comes into your life and you allow them slow access to you and they prove themselves worthy of being around you and worth your time and energy, those people are very few and far between. But when you meet those people, it gives you hope that more people like that exist.
And they do. And we have to keep a positive mindset about this. And I understand why people fall into this very negative outlook when it comes to the world. I've been there. I lived most of my life like that. But like you just said, once you start finding really solid people, you start to realize that there's more out there. Now, there's not as many, but the value that they bring into the circle itself, into your friends group, into your tribe, your community, it's so much more impactful. I would rather have 10 just really heavy hitters, people that I can rely on, that I can give a call at 3 o'clock in the morning and be like, yo, I need your help. And they're going to be at my house within minutes, no questions asked, than to have 50 people in my circle and I can't rely on any of them.
It comes down to, a very strong principle of quality over quantity.
And I think it also goes back to what you were saying is it all boils down to your self-worth. If you think very low of yourself, then you're going to surround yourself with not ideal people. You don't think that you're worthy of having strong friends or having a strong partner. So it all goes back to working on yourself. As always, we can't change the external world. We can't change other people. But what we can do is work on ourselves. We can improve our self-worth. We can improve our confidence. And as we do that, we're going to attract better people into our life. People that don't have your best interests at heart aren't even going to fuck with you. I couldn't tell you the last time that someone tried to deceive me, but it's because of the way that I carry myself. When I walk into a room of strangers, they already know I can't get anything over on this guy. I'm not going to fuck with this guy. I'm not the prey. And that's where we need to get at, especially as a man. You need to be the leader. You need to walk into the room with your chest up, proud, confident. And if you do that, no one's going to fuck with you. No one's going to fuck with your family. No one's going to fuck with your friends. Weak people prey on the less confident. And you can see that immediately by looking at someone. So how are you carrying yourself? You may not even be aware of that, but it all goes back to how do you talk to yourself? What's that internal dialogue saying? Is it positive or is it negative? If it's negative, I can guarantee you people are going to try to take advantage of you. People are going to try to walk all over you. People are going to try to get something from you because you are the prey. That's the natural world. And that goes back to the whole reason that I really like the Hávamál over other teachings is because it's realistic. This is the reality of the situation. This is how the natural world works, especially when it comes to human beings. We are fucked mentally. We really are, especially nowadays. All we care about is getting more and more and more. We don't have anyone else's best interest in mind, at least the majority of people. It really takes someone that has done that internal work, that is confident of themselves, that is loving towards themselves, that is able to love other people as well. And if you love yourself, you would never want someone else to treat you poorly, so you don't treat other people that way as well. And when it comes to treating people the right way, that's really all it boils down to. How would I like someone to treat me? Okay, cool. Treat that other person the exact same way. But to wrap up this whole thing, all of this boils down to is how you view yourself. Are you a confident individual? Do you observe other people? Do you observe your surroundings? Are you present? Because if you're present, you're going to pick up on shit that other people wouldn't if they're thinking in the past or thinking in the future or whatever. And we don't want to fall into the trap of thinking in the past constantly. We can take lessons that we've learned from other past experiences from getting screwed over by someone because we put too much trust in them and it backfired on us. We can take those lessons, but we don't want to necessarily go into every encounter with another person and be like, well, this happened to me, so this is probably going to happen again. This is a fresh slate, right? But you can be cautious of it and be okay, I'm going to just kind of sit back and watch. And something we were talking about right before we dove into this podcast was you can kind of give people feelers. And this is something that you brought up to me. And I was like, yeah, this is absolutely true. Instead of just being like, okay, I'm going to give all my trust to this person, just throw something small out there. If that gets accomplished, great. That person moves up a little bit. I can bring that person in a little bit more. But if you give someone a small task and they fall short on it, and instead it backfires and they end up screwing you over, well, there you go. You're done. And that's how we should approach it. We shouldn't go all in when it comes to other people. We need to be able to observe our surroundings, observe other people, watch their behaviors, watch how they treat other people. Because if they're treating someone else this way, they're probably going to treat you that way. You can go out to eat with someone and just watch the way that they talk to the server. A good person has respect for that person, for the server, because they know that, okay, this person's just here to do their job. They're trying their best. I was in the service industry for a very long time. I was a bartender, I was a server, I was a cook. Like I did all of these different things. And I saw that. I would go up to a table and that person immediately right off the bat was super respectful. And that made me feel good. I'm like, okay, cool, this is awesome. Then you had other people that just treated the server like shit because they thought that they were above them.
Or their order was wrong. That's one of the things that gets me. Like, you know, we make mistakes as humans, and who are you to sit down at a restaurant and order food and it come out, you know, not how you want it, and you just lose your shit.
You shit all over the server like and everybody else as if you never made a mistake in your life. So we can watch how they treat other people, and then we can be, okay, this is their true self. This is their true character, because we also have to recognize the fact that some people are very good at acting. They know how you want them to show up. So they'll put on that front. They'll show it all to you. You experience this a lot when you're dating, right? When you start dating different people and stuff, we usually show up how we want that other person to. And then once you spend more time with them, they start to slip because they can't keep the act up forever. And you start seeing these red flags. You need to actually recognize those red flags and not just cast them away, because that is a natural human behavior to be accepted and liked. And some people are very good at putting on this front in order to get you to like them. But if we are hesitant to just give this person our full self and to trust this individual, and we kind of take it slower and we watch how they interact with other people, how they interact with us over time, once they start letting their guard down, well, then we really see them for who they are.
One of the biggest things that I had to learn was to read the weight of people's word. You know, and it's not just their word to other people. Yeah, you should pay attention to that. But the big sign is, how heavy are their words to themselves? How much do they really step into what they're saying? I mean, we see this all the time. Like, shallow words bear shallow intention, where deep words bury depth. You know, it's it's one of those situations where, especially in this day and age of social media, where people are able to get on platform and express their feelings, which is great. But a lot of those individuals, if they don't, hold the weight of their word to themselves, they are not going to do it with any interaction they have with another person.
Right. And when you say you're going to do something as well, see if that person actually does it. And that applies to you too. When you make a commitment to someone, do you actually follow through with it? Or do you just cast it away? Because if you just kind of throw it away and you don't keep that commitment, it doesn't matter how big or small it is. If you say you're going to do something, make sure that you do it. Because if you don't, that means that you don't respect that other person. You don't respect their time. You don't respect them as a person. Well, why would you ever expect the same in return? So it all goes back to you. How are you as an individual? Are you confident? Are you loving towards yourself? Is your internal dialogue correct? Do you treat people the same way that you want to be treated? If you do those things and you're conscious of it on a daily basis, you're going to avoid a lot of this shit. You're not necessarily going to have to worry about other people trying to get one over on you because of the way that you treat yourself and the respect that you have for yourself. And that is the most important thing. Do you respect yourself? Because if you don't, you're going to let people walk all over you and treat you like shit. But if you do respect yourself, you're not going to put up with it. You're not going to be willing to just give your trust to everybody. People have to earn that. And if they continue to abuse that, it's time to start reconsidering that relationship. So to wrap up this whole thing, be cautious of who you trust. That is one of the most important lessons from the Hávamál, and it really holds true in the world that we live in today. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Norse Mentality. This podcast is a byproduct of Norse Fitness. We make clothing, fitness accessories, supplements, and other tools to help you reach your true potential. If you're interested in grabbing something for yourself, you can go to norsefitness.co and use the code podcast15 to save 15% on your next order.